This horrible day, it all began at about 8:45 a.m. when a plane crashed into the World Trade Center. That plane, American Airlines Flight 11, had been hijacked from Boston. It was headed to Los Angeles. About 20 minutes after that first crash, at about 9:15, another plane smashed into the second World Trade Center tower, Tower 2, and roughly 30 minutes later at 9:45, an airplane crashed near the Pentagon just outside of Washington, D.C. Then around 10:05, the first tower of the World Trade Center collapsed to the ground. At about the same time, a large plane crashed into western Pennsylvania, about 80 miles southeast of Pittsburgh. It was a United Airlines flight from Newark headed to San Francisco. About 20 minutes later, around 10:20, the State Department was evacuated due to reports of a car bomb. And at about 10:28, the second tower of the World Trade Center also collapsed. About 8 minutes later, there was a fourth explosion at the World Trade Center.
The World Trade Center shortly after 9 o'clock Eastern Time this morning. An earlier plane left the tower of smoke, upper stories of the building on the right there. So both towers hit by planes, they burned for a while, and then one at a time, they both collapsed. We have an onlooker who gave us what is sort of a horrific description of what it all looked like, sounded like, and felt like. Let's hear from that person now.
I saw the building falling down.
Say that again, I didn't hear you.
So people jumping from the building, from the 100th floor, and I saw the building just coming down.
It is absolutely an appalling day, not only here in Manhattan, but also in Washington, where the Pentagon also was apparently the subject of a strike by one of these hijacked airliners, flying bombs, really. The Pentagon, as it is at the World Trade Center, but clearly America is under attack. I want to bring into the conversation a man who long planned for and never experienced this kind of event. Howard Safer, the former police commissioner and also fire commissioner, if I'm correct, of the city of New York. You got to be wondering about the guys who you once commanded both on the fire and police departments, who were no doubt trying to help people get out of those buildings when they came down around them.
Well, it's incomprehensible. We planned for all kinds of terrorist attacks, biological warfare, chemical warfare, but nobody envisioned two commercial airliners slamming into the World Trade Center. And I can tell you that although New York has the greatest emergency services in the world, they are being strained by the triage, by the number of injured, and by the requirements of this disaster.
I'm just guessing that most of those brave police and firefighters would have been clustered when we thought we had only a fire. Clearly there would have been glass falling. We even had reports of people jumping out of the upper floors simply because they couldn't tolerate the smoke anymore. But a lot of your people would have been gathered at the base of those buildings when they came down.
Absolutely. Firefighters and police officers run into danger. They don't run away from it. And unfortunately, and I hope I'm wrong, there's probably going to be serious loss of life in both agencies as well as in the civilian area. I've been talking to some of the people at hospitals, and the hospitals are totally overwhelmed. They're triaging people they can help and making sure they don't spend time on people they can't.
I'm sure it's a speech that you never wanted to give, but what do you tell people? What do you tell America right now? How do we behave?
Well, my view is the way we behave is we assess who did this, we find out who they are, and then we make sure that we send a message that is clear because we can pay for it.
As for the reaction of the citizens of New York, the plea is out for people to donate blood. Is there anything else that New Yorkers can do right now?
Well, I think they can donate blood, but they really need to stay calm. They need to follow the instructions of the emergency service personnel. This is an incredibly difficult situation for police and firefighters. The National Guard will be coming in this evening, and this is something where citizens should pretty much, if they don't have to be out, stay home.
Yeah, so stay off the streets if you possibly can. What about communications? We already know that phone lines in and out of New York are swamped. There are going to be thousands, millions of people perhaps across the country who may know somebody who worked in the World Trade Center. What do you tell them?
Well, this is still a rescue operation. There's still people who need help. There's still people who are alive in that wreckage who can be helped. And what people should do is, unless it's an emergency,